What if the Erfurt Union succeeded? In our own timeline, Napoleon dissolved the Holy Roman Empire in 1806 and established the Confederation of the Rhine in its place. But after his defeat in 1815, the Holy Roman Empire wouldn't be restored, but instead replaced with the German Confederation. The German Confederation was very similar to the Holy Roman Empire, as it too was a loose conde of German free cities, principalities, duchies, grand duchies, and kingdoms. And just like its predecessor, it was dominated by Austria. In 1848, the status quo would be challenged by the German Revolution, which created the German Empire and sought to install Frederick Wilhelm IV of Prussia as its emperor. But he rejected the crown, as it came from the gutter as he said it, and soon enough the attempt at German unification failed just 1 year in. But just as one attempt failed, another one came to be, with Prussia forming the Erfurt Union with a lot of smaller states to create a more conservative united Germany. However, besides Austria, which wasn't invited, neither one of the kingdoms, which were the third strongest German states behind Prussia and Austria, joined it. But the deal breaker came in the form of clear opposition from Austria and especially Russian, which ultimately forced Prussia to back down. In 1850, the Erfurt Union was dissolved, and the German Confederation was re-established. For 16 years. But what if that didn't happen? What if the Erfurt Union succeeded? In this timeline, we'll imagine Russia to have stronger relations to Prussia and accepting the Prussian-led Erfurt Union. With Russia supporting the Erfurt Union, maybe in exchange for Posen, Austria is forced to back down, as on their own they wouldn't be able to take down Prussia, especially since they just had to deal with the Hungarian revolt and Italy. As for the kingdoms, Saxony and Hanover were initially on board, and so it might not be too difficult to get them on board, and alone Württemberg and Bavaria would have to join the Erfurt Union as well. Thus, the German Empire would have been formed in 1850 or 1851, a whole 2 decades before our own timeline. Constitutional-wise, it would be very similar to the German Empire of our own timeline, as it too was a conservative up-to-down attempt at creating a united Germany. The United Kingdom might be somewhat anxious, as this Germany could, especially if it works together with Russia, threaten the balance of power in Europe. France, meanwhile, is more opposed to it, as Napoleon had aspirations on the Rhineland. But given that France just had a revolution and he just came to power, not even having crowned himself emperor yet, France wouldn't be able to protest it either. In 1853, the Crimean War still breaks out. You might think that I say that Germany is now gonna join the war on the side of Russia, but they probably don't. Germany might diplomatically support, but that's about it. Germany isn't ready for such a war and doesn't want the balance of power to be disrupted too much. Plus, sentiment regarding Russia was still divided, and this would just unnecessarily threaten the German unity that was just created. Austria, however, would be much more anti-Russia, as in their eyes Russia betrayed them by siding with Prussia just 3 years ago. Austria, sharing a border with Russia, would be more involved in the war than, say, France or Britain. Austrian involvement also probably leads to Sardinia not joining, as its main motive was to get the good side of France, so they support them in their unification attempt. Russia would be forced to give up not just the coastal portion of Bessarabia, but all of it. However, regarding the Danubian principalities, while Wallachia continues to be an Ottoman vassal, Moldova would go to the Austrian Habsburg, which, while humiliating for the Ottomans, gives them a buffer against Russia, as Russia now can't invade the Ottomans without first invading Austria first. Here Italian unification might have been prevented, as Sardinia doesn't have France to its back to support them. Germany and Russia might be good alternatives, but they are too far away and essentially fight separate wars. Austria, while losing Germany, is at least allowed to keep Italy. The Second Schleswig War also doesn't happen. In our own timeline, Prussia wasn't as strong and was even perceived as the weakest of the 5 great powers, and so when they took Schleswig it wasn't enough to worry the rest of Europe, but here Germany already is that strong and so wouldn't be allowed to take more land. Plus, the German Confederation doesn't exist, and so they don't even have a justification regarding Holstein. Denmark-Norway continues to be big, but with many German speakers. Of course, the Austro-Prussian War doesn't happen, as Prussia doesn't need it to happen. Thus another possible chance for Italian unification is gone, and the Ostpolitik of 1867 doesn't happen. The Franco-Prussian War also doesn't happen here. Germany might still want or place a Hohenzollern on the Spanish throne, but besides France, Britain and Austria might oppose it too. Increasingly, two alliances begin to form. On one side stand Germany and Russia, and on the other Britain, France, and Austria. As for minor powers, most of Italy is loyal to Austria, and the Ottomans favor Britain and France. Sardinia and Greece might favor Russia and Germany, but given their isolation would only join a war when they feel confident that they are gonna win. The rest of the smaller states would be neutral. That war could break out in the 1870s with the Balkan revolts in the Ottoman Empire. Here, I'll divide the video into two, one where London, Paris, and Vienna win and one where Berlin and St. Petersburg win. In the first timeline, Russian incursions into Moldova and Wallachia are not nearly as successful as they hoped, and with their portion of the Black Sea demilitarized, the Allies secure themselves the area, which might include Crimea. Germany and Russia would not succeed in quickly crushing Austria, and a Brescia blockade begins to starve out the Holy League. Eventually, as Germany is sufficiently weakened and with Austro-French forces advancing into southern Germany and even linking up, while also capturing the Rhineland and Silesia, Germany would be forced to surrender, soon followed by Russia. In the Treaty of Paris, Germany would be dissolved, with France taking the Rhineland and Austria-Silesia. All the pre-1848 German states would be restored, with Saxony also taking northern Saxony, Württemberg getting Hohenzollern, and Westphalia being turned into a pro-Austrian monarchy. The German Confederation would be re-established under Austrian domination. Russia, meanwhile, would, in the Treaty of Vienna, lose much of the east, with Poland and Ruthenia becoming Austrian clients and Lithuania and Livonia French ones. The Ottomans, meanwhile, regain Moldova. In this timeline, German unification was dashed, and Prussia and Russia are worse off than before, with the continent now being dominated by France and Austria. During this conflict, France can, besides Lithuania and Livonia, call the Ottoman Empire Sardinia and maybe Prussia its allies. Austria, meanwhile, has the rest of the German Confederation, its Italian allies, Poland and Ruthenia. Especially considering ethnic revolts in Austria, France, under Napoleon III, seems to be the favorite to win out, and so could be the one to dominate Europe, just like under his uncle Napoleon Bonaparte. In the second timeline, Russia, Germany and ethnic uprisings managed to bring down the Habsburg monarchy, and soon later, they managed to take down France. The United Kingdom is not able to defeat them on its own, agrees to a peace. In the Treaty of Constantinople, Russia takes Constantinople and renames it to Tsargrad, and also Armenia. Greece would get Smyrna and Thessaloniki. A massive Bulgarian state would be carved out in modern-day Bulgaria and Macedonia, similar to San Stefano of our own timeline. Yugoslavia and Romania also gain their independence. The Khedivate of Egypt under Tuvik Pasha gains its independence with Syria and Hejaz. Qajar Persia gains Mesopotamia. Tunis, Tripolitana, and Cyrenaica go to Sardinia, now Italy. The Ottoman Empire is almost fully gone, with only a small rump state in Anatolia, which is subservient to Russia, enduring. In the Treaty of Prague, Austria too would be dissolved. Their Italian clients and Lombardy, Venetia go to Sardinia, which then proclaims the Kingdom of Italy. Moldova and Transylvania unite with Wallachia into the Kingdom of Romania, while Croatia, Slavonia, and Dalmatia unite with Serbia, Montenegro, and Bosnia and Herzegovina into Yugoslavia. The portions of the Austrian Empire that were part of the German Confederation, so Bohemia, Moravia, and Austria, went to the German Empire. Bessarabia, Bukovina, and Galicia and Lodomeria are annexed by the Russian empires. Lastly, the remaining Hungarian lands gaining independence. In the Treaty of Frankfurt, France loses Alsace-Lorraine and Brie to Germany and Corsica to Italy, while also having to pay ridiculously huge reparations. This second timeline results in a Europe dominated by Germany and Russia, and it is very likely that eventually a war breaks out between the two of them for hegemony in all of Europe. Although, considering that Italy and France have aspirations on Germany, it would stand alone, only having Hungary, and would probably lose a second Great War, paving the road to Russian domination of Europe. In this timeline, Germany would have been created 2 decades earlier and would be close to Russia, while Austria moves west. The following confrontation would then determine which two empires would dominate Europe, with both of them eventually turning on each other, while Britain is only able to watch things unfold. If you liked the episode, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.